Hello and good afternoon, everyone who is joining us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our seventh masterclass of the year, brought to you by BEX Asia, the anchor trade exhibition of the International Built Environment Week, IBEW. Our 18th edition happens from the 3rd to 5th of September at Sands Expo and Convention Center. So you can expect 3 days worth of sourcing for the best technology solutions for the built environment, extensive networking opportunities, and staying in the loop with developments through our educational sessions on site. Before I kick off today's masterclass, allow me to go through some announcements. You would have seen this before, the information on screen about International Built Environment Week, but allow me to walk you through it first. So first of all, this year's edition returns with Expert Series, where our conference does deep dives into project case studies, best practices, and real-world examples to help you develop your own expertise. Our content will cover several key domains, including on day one, digital construction, where we discuss best practices in BIM, IPD, and how it impacts the design and construction process. Construction efficiency, where we delve deep into prefabrication best practices, lean construction, and explore new technologies that will bump up the industry's capabilities and productivity. On day two, we will do a deep dive into sustainability with content centered on carbon accounting and reporting throughout a building's life cycle from construction all the way down to delivery and the operations and maintenance phase. The mandatory energy improvement regime that kicks in October 2025, along with the retrofitting case studies around improving energy use intensity. So this is something that's very pertinent to Singapore, as well as the upcoming refresh green mark standards in Singapore. Day three, of course, will have several other events happening with our partners. Now, tickets are available now for the Expert Series, and the QR code now is on screen for you. The early bird rates will end in August, so do ensure that you get your tickets early to lock in the best savings available. Also happening as part of IBEW is the BCA Industry and Awards Dinner on day one evening, which is the 3rd of September. This dinner celebrates the achievements of the industry with the pinnacle awards of the Company of the Year and Project of the Year given out by BCA. This event will be well attended by leading developers, contractors, architects, consultants. So don't miss out on this exciting opportunity to meet and network with the entire value chain of the industry in one night filled with celebration and fun. You can scan the QR codes to purchase your tickets to IBEW's Industry and Awards Dinner. And finally, I'm also happy to share that IBEW and BEX Asia will be running a series of experts on tour in the cities of Kuala Lumpur and Jakarta. We did one last month in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Now we're bringing it to Kuala Lumpur and Jakarta. Now, I know we have some attendees in this masterclass today from both cities of Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur, so I'm sure you'll be interested in this. In partnership with the Institute of Engineers Malaysia, we will be hosting a seminar on green data centers in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday, 1st July. And for Jakarta, we are partnering with the Green Building Council of Indonesia to run a seminar on green buildings with a focus on energy efficiency design and retrofitting. The QR codes are now on screen for you to scan and register. The experts on tour sessions are complimentary to attend. Now that I'm through with sharing some of the latest updates of BEX Asia and IBEW, let's get straight into today's topic, which is proudly presented by Oracle Construction and Engineering. This topic is really interesting, especially if you're a person who likes to make decisions that are well backed by data. With the title Adopting a Formula One Data-Driven Mindset for Your Project Control Practices, this session will be presented by Roger Rolvik, Asia Pacific Industry and Customer Engagement Director of Oracle Construction and Engineering. In this role, he supports clients throughout the region in digital transformation in planning, building, and operating the built environment. Roger has extensive management advisory experience and a passion for informed decision making. He has experience delivering benefits to many clients from a diverse background, working across a broad range of projects, clients, and sectors. He continues to advise and support organizations in project operations through digitalization. Now, may I invite Roger to come on screen now with us? Hello, Roger. How are you?
I'm very well, 𝗧𝗵𝘂𝗍𝗆. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. You're based in Australia, so it's slightly late for you?
It's just gone 4:30 in the afternoon in Melbourne, Australia, where I am today. Yes,
Melbourne. All right. So the weather's good there because it's raining here in Singapore.
it's winter, so it's a little bit chilly outside today, but it's dry. Yes,
Well, chili is something that Singaporeans would kind of prefer, given that we've had quite a fair bit of heat wave in the last couple of weeks.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, let me just jump into it then and
Mm-hmm.
start sharing my screen, which
And while Roger has his screen started, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function in Zoom to ask the questions, and we will address questions at the end of his presentation. Now, with that, Roger, I leave this session to you. Over to you.
Thanks, 𝗧𝗵𝘂𝗍𝗆, and thanks for that kind introduction as well. So I don't really have to introduce myself all that much. But yeah, suffice to say, I've been around in this region for a little bit, work with a lot of organizations. And one of the common themes that I hear is about data-driven decision making and making informed decisions. And the fortunate position that we're in at Oracle is that we sponsor a little Formula One team that has had a little bit of success over the last couple of years. And when I speak to my clients, and we were looking at what we're doing with Oracle Red Bull Racing, I saw some parallels. And that's what this presentation is about, to get to the point where a sport like Formula One, which is data driven, and you will hear a little bit more about that, very much is a template almost that you could use for construction engineering. Now, obviously, construction engineering doesn't run, and projects don't go as fast as two cars around a racetrack, but nonetheless, the mindset of a data driven strategy and execution of that strategy based on data and information as it comes through. That's very much what we're going to talk about today. The majority of, well, firstly, all of the pictures you'll see today are from 2023, which was the most successful and most record-breaking year for Oracle Red Bull Racing. It was the best ever car that's been in Formula One. It's the RB19. It was powered by Honda, and once again, it was unstoppable in the hands of Max Verstappen and at the time Sergio Perez. 22 races in the season, 21 were taken won by the Oracle Racing Red Bull, and a total of 30 podiums and 15 pole positions. It broke pretty much all the records of most consecutive wins by manufacturer, most consecutive wins by driver, highest point score, and highest score of a winning championship driver. So a fantastic car and machine, obviously, but none of this would have been possible without the data and information that sits behind that as well. What I want to talk about today is how the F1 technology can, or the principles of that and the mindset of that, can be used to control construction programs. So it's really a story of portfolio, program, and project control. So please join me, and hopefully you get some insights and maybe some hints and tips on a little journey that will go on now. Every project and every contractor and every project owner that I've worked with has got more than just the standard kind of outcomes that they're looking to achieve when they deliver projects. It's not just about building that building or opening the road or launching a new train line or anything like that. There are always these underlying performance drivers that are there. Now, three of the most common ones that I come across is everybody sets out on a new project wanting to deliver that better than they did the last one. Whether you're an owner team or a delivery team, it doesn't really matter. which really leads to a much smarter use of data, information, tools, processes, and technology within that to ultimately use the capital capital investment that's being made to achieve better outcomes for the community and for all the stakeholders involved. So better project performance is what we're looking for. Then more and more, we like to align business processes. That is just a simple metric of risk reduction, minimizing time to delivery, making sure you stay within budget. So being productive, delivering an outcome, aligning the business processes in such a way that everybody can do that efficiently and effectively. And technology and the ability to do that using the smartest and latest technologies will help you do that. The challenge, however, comes with protecting the data. We're all familiar with the big threats around cybersecurity and data privacy and all that kind of stuff. So how do you keep all that data safe and secure when you want to use the latest and greatest cloud software and technologies? So those factors are very much underlying performance drivers within projects and contractors, delivery teams that are always being considered at the forefront, and they should be. So it's very important to remember that as we go through, and as you go through and away from today's session, that you, no matter what the solution is that you're looking at, no matter how good it looks on paper or in the demo that somebody's showing you, think about how it will help you achieve better project outcomes, how it helps you improve your business processes, and almost most importantly, make sure that it keeps you safe and secure in your data and your personal and privacy and private data, all secure of you, your organization, and your employees and supply chain. So strategy and planning with an Orca Red Bull Racing mindset. As I said, hugely successful Formula One season in 2023, many records broken. And what they did at the end of the season, Orca Red Bull Racing produced a series of videos under the theme Built to Win. And within that series, they'll explore some key aspects behind their 2023 success. Episode 4 of that series is called Race Strategy, the strategy behind Orca Red Bull Racing winning 2023 season. And you'll shortly see a few clips from that. And then I'll explain how that Orca Red Bull Racing mindset can support you in capital works, portfolios, programs, and projects. Before I go into that, just a couple of the characters that you'll hear from in this video from Orca Red Bull Racing. I can't quite remember if these are in order of appearance, but probably. So the first person you hear from is 𝗲𝗂𝗍. He's Orca Red Bull Racing's head of race strategy. Christian Horner, which is Orca Red Bull Racing's team principal, and Max Verstappen, Orca Red Bull Racing driver, and now at the time in 2023 he was a 3 times world champion. Now he's a 4 times world champion driver. So let's have a listen to a couple of clips of what Orca Red Bull Racing had to say at the end of the season regarding strategy and planning.
Can you give us a look deep inside the preparations the team goes through to execute a race weekend?
Typically for us, the preparation for a weekend starts the week before. So we'll start looking at some of the characteristics of the circuit, how we think the tyres are going to perform. We'll look at previous races that have been held at that venue, and other races we've had earlier this season. And from that, we'll start to piece together a bit of an idea of what the likely strategies are going to be. It's trying to get the best out of the car that you have. So the other engineers are maybe trying to make the car set up better, make the car faster. What we're trying to do is optimise the use of the car through the weekend, how many pit stops we make, when we make them, what tyres we fit, and we're trying to maximise the point score that we can with the car that we have available to us.
So in that little clip, there were a couple of points that were highlighted across the screen as well that were being talked about. Those points are the 7 points that you see on screen at the moment. So let me just take a little bit of time to talk you through those points that were made. The first point that was made was that the preparation for a race starts before the actual race weekend. They look at all kinds of things to do that. And in construction engineering, it's very much the same. Yeah. Our preparation starts well before we get to the site. There's all kinds of planning, design, procurement, things that need to be organized, permits that need to be organized. All that is very, very important to get organized before you get to site to be efficient and effective. But it generates a lot of data, generates a lot of information, and potentially through permits or other requirements, supply chain creates some kind of restrictions or constraints that you have to comply with. So being aware of what's going to hit you and taking that into account as you go ahead with your project is very important. Just like what Orca Red Bull Racing does, they start way ahead. They use a lot of the characteristics of the car and the circuit that they're about to go to from previous years. So they use that historic data to work with that. They look at the particular characteristics of this year, the weather forecast, is the tarmac renewed? Have they make any design changes to it? If you follow the Formula One, for example, 2 weeks ago when we were in Monaco for the 2025 season, there was a new requirement to have a minimum of 2 pit stops. So new characteristics appear, and they'll use that to start thinking about how do we deliver that. They start building this model of how they get 2 cars the fastest from lights out to finish. Because that's the objective. The shortest time to get through the distance that they have to race. So they use that historic data. They use the lessons learned from previous races in the season. So they get to understand the new car, because every year there's a new car. And in construction, we can do the same thing. You may have built something similar, or you may have worked with the supply chain or key suppliers before, key contractors before, and you learned some things. You can use that in construction. So using that same mindset of a very good preparation is very important. And then you need to start thinking about, how am I doing at the moment? How are things going at the moment? What is happening today in the world of construction, in the location where I am? Have I got enough resources? Have I got enough equipment and materials available? Are there longer lead times for whatever reason that might be happening? Are we waiting for a specialist tunnel boring machine to turn up? How is my performance as an organization doing? How am I doing financially? How's my procurement team doing? How's my current project portfolio going? How are the risks? Have some of those materialized on some other projects? All that is your current performance. And you need to understand that across your portfolio of projects, so you can take account of those things when you are working on your current project, the new one that you are planning, the new one that you're starting up, the current one that you're delivering, or multiples that you are delivering. So constantly looking at all that. Then obviously, when you're still in that planning phase, you need to determine what's the best possible approach based on all the constraints that are currently thrown at you: time, cost, budgets, market supply constraints, permit constraints, weather constraints, you name it. All this kind of stuff are thrown at you. How long is my project scheduled to be? Is it 12 months? Is it 18 months? What's going to likely to happen in terms of weather or downturns or holiday periods and shutdowns that you need to adhere to? So you plan the best possible approach, just the same way as Orca Red Bull Racing does it for a racing weekend. We in construction engineering do that for the projects that we deliver and work on. And as I think it was Will was saying it, there's he's the head of strategy and has to oversee everything, but all the different departments, the aerodynamics department, the engine department, the tire team, the pit stop team, everybody's got a role to play. And everybody's a key stakeholder in their success. It's not a one-man show. It isn't just the driver. It isn't just the designer of the car. It isn't just the mechanic. It's everybody coming together in the same way that it takes a village to build and deliver a project. It's not just one party. Yes, we contract to a contractor, and it could be a single contractor, but they don't do that by themselves. They have supply chain, they have partners. The project owner will have consultants and advisors and other people within the organization. Then there's community stakeholders. So you need to make sure that everybody who's got a role to play, who's got an interest, is considered, and how they contribute to the success of your project and what makes the project as a total project a success, especially if you think back at the three common underlying factors that we talked about earlier. Better performance, better aligned processes, not falling foul of any weird kind of risk, and particularly cybersecurity risks. So what that means is you create a holistic approach. You use all these inputs, all these data sources, all this information, historic information, current information, expectations, future expectations, and chart that course for your project. And that's the optimization of that holistic project, that working as a team all together to a common output. The Oracle Red Bull Racing mindset is very much around, we want to win the race, because that's the purpose of doing Formula One races, to win as many as you can, because that's how you win the championship. For you as a contractor, it is delivering your project as quickly, as safely, as profitably as you can. As an owner, it is to have that project available, get to the revenue that project can generate for you, do that safely, don't go over budget. That's what your success criteria are. But collectively, that single project is deliver that on time, on budget, fully safely, no unexpected risk and surprises that materialize. You do that by taking all the data, all the information, and plan and model as much as you can, model as many scenarios as you can. And as things change, as the same way as it happens in a race in Formula One, so does your plan potentially change for a project. So let's look at the next clip of the video of the same series of video, and listen to what they have to say.
What role do you think Oracle played in such a dominant season?
Yeah, it's since we've been working together, I think we had a lot more opportunities looking through our strategy possibilities on race day.
We're using so much technology behind the scenes in terms of the cloud technology, how we're managing our data, the speed at which we can view data. We're running millions and millions of simulations and algorithms during the course of a Grand Prix to plot what is the fastest way. Now, using Oracle Cloud, that's just enabling us to run a broader spectrum, up to 25% more simulations compared to what we could previously do. So that's just giving us more and better info to make our decisions on.
Back when I started doing the strategy, there was very little data available to us. So over the years, the increasing amount of data, obviously the more information you have, the more you can improve your models, and the better your understanding of what's going on can be. And I think over the years we've refined a lot of our processes. So something that would have taken me hours, sort of 10 years ago, now it's just a click of a button and it's all automated. So we're constantly trying to speed up our processes, automate as much as we possibly can, because that frees up more time then to look in more detail at other aspects or improving further, other systems. It's being able to simulate the race, being able to predict how things are going to perform, and then be able to adapt when maybe things aren't quite as you expect. I think that's where we can really sort of gain our key advantage.
Oracle is playing a key role because it's just enabling us to do more and faster management and access to our data. And we're a data-driven business. We generate copious amounts of data, and it's the speed that you can analyze that data and make use of that data that is of absolute crucial importance to us. But the simulations and the tools, and working with technologies like AI and ML and all these other technologies that are available to us, they're really starting to produce the answers to you on a continual basis. It's enabling and empowering people, that they don't freeze at big pressure points. And I think as a team, we've had tremendous consistency and stability that is absolutely fundamental to success.
A lot of points were raised in that little clip. This time we've got 11 items, but don't worry, I won't address them all one by one because we won't have enough time today to go through that. So more than happy to delve into those in more detail if you wish. So you can reach out and you can find me via various channels. But just as a way of an overview, the 11 things that really stood out in that particular clip are the kind of small prints on there. It's about scenario modeling, informed decision making, synchronizing data and teams, increasing productivity, automating as much as you can, running simulations, connecting people and teams and data sets, using analytics to your advantage, using the knowledge and the insights that analytics gives you to make better decisions, empower people and teams to make the decisions, and standardize across races, teams, and data sets. So why is all that just as important for construction engineering projects as it is in Formula One and for 𝗲𝗂 Red Bull Racing and their strategic mindset? Just like Formula One teams, project organizations, whether you're owner of a project organization or a delivery team organization, you're also data-driven organizations these days. Yes, the end product is a building or a piece of infrastructure, road or rail or bridge or tunnel, or you operate a mine, a building in a mine or something like that. That's the end product. The same way that the outcome and the end product for a Formula One team is to put 2 cars on the track and go around as fast as you can and try to win the championship. Everything that makes that happen, everything that makes you successful in doing that is underpinned by data and information these days. And just like it used to be in Formula One, where people had paper systems and at best maybe an Excel system and basically use gut feeling to make the decisions, if you currently operate your business on paper-based systems, disconnected tools, old Excel, and run it via email and Word and whatever not, you're basically making gut decisions. And you're not using the data and the information to make an informed decision. You're not making the best use of everything that you're doing. Obviously, there are very much big differences. Yeah, in Formula One, it's 2 cars as part of 10 teams, so 20 cars in total on the track, who go around really, really fast and give you millions and millions of data pieces and inputs every time they go around, every second that they go around. And it's really quick, and you need to make really, really quick decisions. Now, construction doesn't go that fast. So maybe the speed of decision making isn't as fast as it is within Formula One. But more often than not, you don't have just 2 projects on the go. You may have 20 projects on the go. So now the decision making, even though the speed of the construction is a lot slower, you've got more of it happening at the same time. So the complexity is potentially the same, if not more complex, because it isn't the same track that they go around. It isn't the 2 same cars that were built identically going around the same track for 58, 60, 70 laps. And that's what you got to do. You got 20 projects, each of a different shape, each of a different size, delivered by a different project team with by a different supply chain, maybe even delivered in a different part of the country or a different part of the world. Yet you still have to make decisions and informed decisions. And that's why the techniques and the mindsets of these items on this slide are just as relevant in construction engineering as they are in Formula One and as they are for 𝗲𝗂 Red Bull Racing. So I don't need to explain you how you can use scenario modeling, but you can do that today with technologies available today on all of your construction projects and across your portfolio if you wish to do so. So what's your cash flow forecast across a portfolio of projects with accurate data and information feeding up from the individual projects to make an insightful decision and run the analytics, another item on the slide, that you can talk about, that you can use. And that only is achievable in construction engineering if you standardize the tools, the processes, the methodologies that are being deployed within your organization across all of the projects. So all these items, connecting the data, empowering the teams to make decisions, will help you increase the productivity, synchronizing when you do the reporting, how you do the reporting, and using the right tools to obtain those knowledge and insights to make those informed decisions. All are very, very relevant in construction engineering projects today, in project controls, project execution, project management, just as they are in Formula One. And guess what? The same technology that is available and it underpins 𝗲𝗂𝗍 Red Bull Racing also underpins 𝗲𝗂 Construction Engineering. So we're bringing this technology that is there in Formula One also into the construction and engineering sphere. I mean, it have been for years. It's not new. It brings an interesting kind of dilemma, and let me just go to my favorite question. My favorite question is, how do you know that you know? I'll let you think about it, and let me say that again, and let me try and emphasize the words a little bit different this time. How do you know that you know? So if you get a report with all kinds of lovely green donuts on it, everything is hunky-dory, or bar charts that look like everything is exactly where it needs to be, how do you know that you can rely on that was based on data and information that wasn't manipulated by people that shouldn't be allowed to manipulate it, or wasn't twisted and turned to suit somebody else's agenda, that it was objective, that it can be viewed, that it's based on facts and figures? The only way you know that is by having confidence that the tools and the processes used by everybody throughout your portfolio, across your program, and within your projects is the same, or at least for 80–90% the same, barring some nuances between specific projects, so that you can rely on it, because nobody is authorized to touch the data and manipulate it without you knowing who that is and what they're going to do with it. It's all set down, and technology gives you those protections that can give you that assurity. However, the challenging part is making that happen. And before we get into that, how that works and what that looks like, and I will show you what our view is in 𝗲𝗂 Construction Engineering of what that looks like, we just need to explore the concept of point solutions. Well, there's a couple of concepts we need to explore. Firstly, let's start with point solutions. Point solutions is what we are all familiar with today. Every little yellow circle on screen is a tool, an application, a piece of technology that you use. Decide which one they are. There's 9 on screen there. You may use 15, you may use 5. It doesn't matter. Those point solutions, each in their own right, do something really, really useful for you, and doing it properly really, really well. And that's all they are there to do. However, the real power, the real insight comes from being able to connect these data sets and run analytics across that. Now, if there's 9 circles, if you wanted to connect all of them to each other, then you needed to create an integration or connection from 8 per circle. So 8 links from each circle to connect it to the 8 other circles. That's what you got to create. So that's a lot of connections, which isn't a problem. But we also all know how often these things get updated. You only have to look at your mobile phones. And how many times do apps or the operating system on your phone needs updating? What if that causes a break in connections? You're constantly having to update that. So it's a lot of work to keep that from happening, to make that and maintain those connections. So we often don't do that, or we do it very manually. We cut and paste again and copy it over here and send it over there, and we're not really using the true power of everything being connected. So what have we got? We've come up with something new. Well, it's not so new anymore now, but we technology industry and the technology vendors have come up with this thing called a platform, which is the big red thing in the middle. Yes, for those eagle-eyed, I've lost the circle, but that's just aesthetic, so don't worry about that. It's basically you can now connect each point solution into a platform, and the platform itself can have functionality, or must have functionality, and must have protections and everything like that, and authorizations in there. But now, every time a point solution does an update, you only really have to update one link. And everybody has something that it can work on. Now, imagine you add a new point solution to it. Something new comes to the market and you buy it. When you have only disconnected point solutions, siloed solutions, to connect them all, you now need to create 9 new connections. Yeah, the 10th solution to the 9 others. Imagine there were 9 around connected to the platform. You only have to create one solution. You just add one new circle to it, connect it into your platform, and hey presto, everybody's got access to the data straight away. That's why platforms are very, very useful and the way forward if you don't already use a platform solution in your technology tools. But we also need to address the ecosystem, because we're not just dealing with technologies and platforms on a construction site. You're dealing with a procurement system, an HR system, safety and security system, QA system, environmental management systems. All that makes up your ecosystem as an organization or as a function within an organization. These are all the tools. So that's what is an ecosystem. All the things connected, and there could be separate platforms with different point solutions attached to the platforms, and you connect platform to platform to make those connections happening in an ecosystem. So an ecosystem is a combination of platforms and point solutions all connected and all linked up to help you do what it is that you need to do. Hopefully that makes sense. So concepts. You need that, and that's what Orca Red Bull Racing, and for that matter, all Formula One teams have done. They created their own ecosystem of tools and systems to help them beat the competition, basically, just like you are constantly fighting with the competition. For those of you interested, if you follow Formula One, and if you've been a long-time follower like I have, you'll have seen over the last couple of years the amount of technology companies that have now come and featured into Formula One, not just Oracle at Orca Red Bull Racing, but Zoom that we're currently using is a sponsor of Orca Red Bull Racing as well. But there's other technology providers, competitors of ours, as well as partners of ours that work with other Formula One teams. So how do you accelerate that performance? Because technology is there and it allows you to do that. And just like at Orca Red Bull Racing, the emphasis should always be on connecting teams across processes and data, empowering those teams to use the data and intelligence and to make informed, proactive decisions, and to synchronize the activities, the people, and the resources throughout, in our case, the project lifecycle. In Orca Red Bull Racing's case, throughout a race weekend, leading up to a race weekend, post-race weekend debriefing, and getting ready for the next weekend. So, as I promised, this is how we think this looks like. Now, this is a very high-level overview of what we believe is a truly connected construction and engineering platform that will allow you to deliver portfolio, program, and project controls and management and coordination across anything that you do. So the capabilities that collection of tools, the whole platform, that's the platform in the middle, but also the point solutions around that collectively needs to give you are visualized with the dark blue boxes in the middle of the screen. Yeah, from portfolio planning on the left to handover and operation on the right. The black box is basically making sure that whatever you buy, whatever solution you choose, is that it is based on open source, so you can connect it with others. Open source isn't a scary thing that means it's not cybersecurity. It just means it's easy to connect with. Yeah, so that's very important. It does need to be underpinned and supported and built on or connected to this platform with this platform services that I showed a couple of slides ago. Yeah, sometimes or often we call this the common data environment. That's where everything comes together and everybody gets access to that data through push-pull or actual as a data lake or data repository where it sits. So that's very, very important that you've got that. So the bottom half of the diagram very much around what are the foundations of a good connected platform in construction engineering, portfolio, program, and project control look like. That's what that is. Obviously, you need that big important yellow layer that sits there at the top that says authentication, navigation, administration. You somehow need to make sure that everybody's got access to the right things at the right time, and people don't have access to things they shouldn't have access to, which is very, very important that you can do that. You need the right tools, you need the right systems in place to do that. But equally, you need to make that as easy as possible so that as many people and everybody on your project is capable of using the tools. So that's very important how that works, and that's why it's separately identified on the diagram. And then built in with this, although it shows like on top on this diagram, but it's hard to otherwise visualize, but built in within all of this, you should have artificial intelligence, machine learning, and analytics more and more. And that gives you insights and intelligence. That is where your reports, your data, your knowledge comes from that will allow you to make those informed decisions. And it allows you to use those insights and analytics to really accelerate your own performance in projects and project controls. So just to summarize, Orca Rebel Racing technology, the basis and the basics of that technology that is used by Orca Rebel Racing in Formula One, a sport driven and decided by hundreds and thousands of seconds of difference per lap, that same technology is available for you in construction and engineering. The basics, the premise, the framework, the infrastructure that uses is also available for you in construction engineering. The same capabilities are available that we talked about as showing you how they link to Orca Rebel Racing and how they're also relevant within construction engineering. And as it says a couple of times today, it's about connecting teams, people, and data and processes, empower them to make informed, insightful, and proactive decisions, and synchronize them across processes, data, and decisions to deliver the best possible outcome for you, your project, your teams, your staff, and ultimately your bottom line. Thank you very much. I'll open the floor for questions now.
Thank you, Roger. For those who are into F1, I guess you had a little sneak peek into what goes behind the scenes, yeah, from this session. And I really liked it because I think it is important for every industry to learn from other adjacent industries or even different industries, right? If you are trying to make your hospital room even more sterile, you're not just going to look at another hospital. You probably want to go to a factory that does clean room manufacturing to learn how they manage their indoor air quality. So even from us here in the construction industry, it is possible for us to learn from the experience of Oracle in Red Bull, because it's all about getting from start to finish as fast as possible, as safely as possible, and as much as possible on target and on time. So there was quite a number of interesting ideas here. I think that you raised, the fact that you need to collect your data, you need to clean your data, you need to synchronize and put it into a single platform, which makes it easy for everybody to use. Because I can imagine in the construction industry, we will have your manpower scheduling software, your logistics software, your subcontractor project scheduling software. And if all of them don't speak to each other, and if all of them requires individual APIs to connect to each other, I can imagine if the logistics software breaks down, you can't, you've already said I will deploy X number of people to do this MEP part of the building and my subcontractors, but your logistics didn't tell you that, oops, this thing's not coming in today. You just wasted a whole day and X number of man hours.
Yeah, exactly. Paid people to do nothing.
Well, I wish sometimes I'll get paid to do nothing. Dream job. Right. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, you can of course use the Q&A function in Zoom to ask your questions, and we will try to address them as much as possible now. But I have some questions here from people who have submitted them during registrations. And one of those questions, let me just pick one here first, is how can the construction industry collect data better, given that a lot of the work that we do can be across different systems and disparate organizations? So I think, Roger, you did address it a little just now. Perhaps you can dive a bit more into how you can collect data better and how to make sure that you can work it across different systems and disparate organizations. I mean, given that even a main contractor will have to work not just within his own ecosystem, but he will also have to deal with the architect's ecosystem and the developer's ecosystem.
Yes, and it's a big problem in a big world. Let me say that, and we haven't necessarily cracked that nut. The one thing which seemingly seems impossible to do is to connect everything at once across construction engineering in a country or across the world. It's too many tools, too many players, too many variations of that. So what it therefore makes important for each organization to do is not necessarily focusing on collecting data, but it's on focusing on standardizing the tools that you use every which way you work, every project you work on. Because if you standardize the tools, you get to standardize as much of the processes as you can, then you get the same data and the same information across all your projects. And you can then collect that data. There is a misconception out there that you can just collect data. Yeah, well, you can collect data, but that doesn't mean you can use it because it's not comparable. It's the old saying of you're comparing apples and oranges. Yeah, so the most important part is not about collecting it. It's about standardizing the way you work, standardizing the tools, and always use those tools on every project that you work on. Yes, you will have to deal with your supply chain tools as well and technologies that they use. And that's why it's important when I show you the diagram that you are basing on open source. So it's easy for you to connect and link in with those other tools and make those connections. That's the two things that are very, very important. Making sure that you can standardize and therefore collect and collate the information so you can actually use it for analytics, and make sure that it is not in proprietary systems that are very, very difficult to deal with as an organization and costly every time when somebody changes something. Hopefully that answered the question a little bit more and maybe a little different angle.
Yes, I think, and you are really correct on the fact that it is a very hard nut to crack because there's so many parties involved. But it all begins with standardizing how you collect your data and the data standards, because otherwise, when I do Power BI, sometimes just the fact that someone's capturing data in minutes versus someone capturing data in seconds, it just adds a layer of complexity of me having to clean up that data, right?
And potentially adds a level of risk of mistake in that as well. Yeah, because maybe you forget. Or maybe you just by accident set the formula to do, instead of everything divided by 60, if your seconds are converted to minutes, you do divided by 6. Simple typo. And all of a sudden, nothing makes sense anymore. And it makes it really, really hard if you don't bottom that out consistently through standardization to create that consistency. And I know what a lot of people say, and maybe I should address that a little bit. Consistency. When I say consistency, I mean, if you are a project delivery organization, you have 70% of all your business processes are the same, no matter what you're building, wherever you're building it. Yes, then there is maybe 20 or so percent, 25% of business process that are specific to the type of building or the type of contract that you got. But it's the same every time you have a D&C contract. those things are specific to D&C contract. Every time you build a multi-story, multi-use facility, those things are specific because they're different than building a train line, for example. But per type, they're still the same. And then so you can template that first 60, 70%. You can template the different types, the next 25, 30% of your processes. And that leaves around about 10%, which is unique to every single project, which you're just going to have to deal with because different jurisdictions and everything like that. But if we could run analytics and collate consistently and standardized all the data and information of 90% of what we do, we'll be a hell of a lot better off as an organization and as an industry than where we are now, because we're not doing it right and not consistently as an industry.
That's true. There are of course efforts, with Open BIM, there's
Lots of
IFC,
efforts.
SG. Yeah, but there's also efforts that we need to undertake at the organizational level, not at the full industry level, because it's within your own control.
It's your own control, exactly, and that's easier to control than trying to control the industry. Yeah.
Yep. Someone said, you can't change the world if you don't start changing yourself first.
Good point.
Yeah. Now we have a question here from, let me see, this person is actually a main contractor. Based on your experience, what will be the most important factor on getting the team to have continuous process improvements and optimizing project delivery? Quite a big question here, but if you can say what will be the single most important factor, would it be mindset or something else?
Yes. And you nailed it in one. It's the mindset. I can tell you, you need systems, you need to look at your historical data and everything like that. You can have all the processes, you can have all the tools that allow you to do that. But if your people aren't doing it, if they're not in the right mindset, it ain't going to happen. We human beings love taking shortcuts. We love not doing stuff that we feel we don't need to do or irrelevant or not that important. We love to be distracted by other things that are more exciting and more interesting. So if your people mindset isn't one of, I want to get better as an individual every day, then you as an organization could have that aspiration, but it's not going to go anywhere. Same way, if your people are, but the organization isn't, it isn't going to go anywhere. So it's a combination of bringing the people and the organization mindset together and driving for performance, always getting better. That's not to say you can't celebrate your performance. And sure, you need to celebrate performance. You need to celebrate the wins, but you also need to look forward. And you can look at that and you can listen to almost every Formula One driver and team principal interview, and they will love to talk about how well the race went, but they will also say, but we're as good as the next race. Our performance is as good as this year and the last race, not what we did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Again, if you're in Formula One, there are stable names, the Williams racing team, the Ferrari racing team. They've been around for decades and decades. What are they currently being assessed on? How they performed last year, how they performed last weekend, and how they will be performing this weekend. I think it's Canadian Grand Prix this weekend. But, it's the here and now, and continuous improvement has to be the mindset. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere.
Right. I guess that was also why you chose the title, Applying the Formula One Mindset.
Mindset, yes.
Right. So, of course, that would be interesting for us to understand how we as an organization can also change and influence mindset. I think that's one of the items that we will be discussing in IBEW in Expert Series in September, where we talk about lean construction methodology, and it's also a lot about mindset, right? The last planner system is also about how you get your teams to think properly through and plan together. And
there is lots of techniques out there. Yeah, lean and last planner, and you can use lots of technologies, and we can do it in the old-fashioned way where we have post-it notes on the big whiteboard and see all that. You can go very advanced and use technology to do advanced works packaging. and rolling that out, which is basically doing that in reverse. So start with the end of mind, very 𝗲𝗄𝗍-like. What does everybody need? And work back and package it up in the most efficient way, which is the latest and greatest, if you want to believe some of the reports that are out there. But, you know, it's all about mindset. It's all about how do we want to get better? And we human beings, we are constantly evolving. We have achieved the most, you know, revolutions of any species ever to walk this world. Yeah, we've been around for seconds in, you know, geological terms, and we've achieved so much. Arguably, we've achieved some things that are ruining things, but, you know, that's a whole different story. But that's because we have this inbuilt mindset to always improve, to always get better. And what we need to do in an organization and in an industry is to tap into that and to work that through and use the technologies and the tools around us to do that. Yeah, we wouldn't have made the progress as human beings if we didn't invent the wheel and then continue to use it. Yeah, so keep using what we've learned, learn from what we've done, but always look at making it better.
Yep, that's true. You know, always, you know, past success doesn't always guarantee future success.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's a good foundation.
It is a good foundation, definitely. Well, looks like we've come to the end of the session, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who be interested in the slides, a sanitized copy without the videos will be provided to you via email, and you'll also be able to follow up with us in expert series where Oracle will go into, we'll be speaking in session 1.3 in September, elements of successful digital construction and integrated project delivery. So there'll be a continuation of this conversation here in September. So Roger, any last words for our attendees here today?
Enjoy the race this weekend.
I can see.
It's like, have fun. Everything is possible if you want and put your mind to it. And if you want to know more about the Oracle construction and engineering technologies and how it actually works in practice, feel free to reach out to myself or to your local Oracle representatives, and we'd be more than happy to show you what that may look like in practice for you as an organization.
Great. Now, thank you very much, Roger. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this session. For those of you who missed out on the QR codes for registering for the Experts on Tour series, as well as the IBEW dinner, awards dinner, and the IBEW Expert series, those slides will be up on screen right now. So do make sure you get your tickets to the events coming up, and as well as just remember that the Experts on Tour is a complimentary program for you, to those in Kuala Lumpur and Jakarta. With that, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you in the next masterclass, which will be in 2 weeks' time. So stay tuned to our LinkedIn for the programs, and I'll see you again in September. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, 𝗍𝗵𝘂𝗍. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.